Yeah, it should be all
Yeah,
good
all
now.
right. Yeah, we're ready. So this is our
Yeah,
Atticus radio show.
yeah. Does everybody know it's happening on the Agora or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're actually
Yeah.
20 minutes into the deadline.
Oh well, they should be all listening in then.
Yeah, they should be laughing at us.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, it says there's 8 listeners.
Okay,
All
no
right.
problem.
Great. Okay, I'm all set.
Okay, there's one thing I've just discussed while you were offline with Mark, is that we make it a 2 hour section, and maybe in the first 1 hour we will present our own topics, and then in the second hour we are free for other people to call in so that they can ask questions or bring their own ideas into the discussion. What do you think, Dale?
I think that's good. I think we can, us three can talk about things for around an hour. Then after that, people can call in with all sorts of things they'd like to hear about.
Yeah. And actually, I'm recording. I hope it is working. We will see. And
Okay.
yeah, that's it. So, what will be the topic? First topic, Dale. It's,
First topic.
you are the host.
Oh,
The
wow.
host.
Well, as a host, well, why don't we jump right into the oil issue since you're here?
Yeah. Oh, I
Let's
was
start it off with a bang. How about that?
with the Big Bang. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's how we roll around here. We really kick things off.
All right.
So,
Well, listen, we got a live chat too, so I'll be throwing in questions from the people listening now that we
okay.
got everything straightened out.
All right. Great, great. Let's see. Got this loaded. All right, wonderful. I say we're set. I just have to find the link here so I can have something to run off of.
What are you looking for? I'm sorry, I'm doing all kind of stuff.
Oh, it's all right. Well, I just kind of like to facilitate the discussion here about the oil issue coming up. I think that would be interesting. Let's start this off with a bang.
Okay.
All right, and then we're gonna call in Star too, just to
Okay.
have another opinion.
Okay, yeah. So we'll talk about this for several minutes and then kind of move on then. So let's start this off here.
Hold on one sec, she's coming in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that now.
Hey, there we go. Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
You're live with everybody, huh? Dale,
Hi,
as
love
you
it.
Hi,
are.
Brooke.
Hey,
Star.
welcome to this little discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to mention you guys to let the listeners know over to the right as you're facing the page, there's a shout box or a chat box. They should click on that. There's a couple people in there already, but that's where they can go to ask questions and talk to everybody while the show is going on. So just a little feature there.
Yeah, there's an echo again. Everybody's echoing in my ears.
Oh yeah, if you're listening to it and you're called in, turn it off.
You have an echo in your ears, that would indicate space in between your
Oh, it's the different. It's from the parallel universe, you know. So I've
Okay, hey, yeah. So, listeners in the chat box thing there, do you hear an echo?
No,
it's gone. It's gone now. I've paused it. It wasn't the player.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as
okay.
the player is muted, then everything's okay. Then everyone can, hear in without the echo.
Yeah,
Well, I had to do it for a second to test, but we're good now. Everyone should be. All right.
Okay, so let me start a little bit on the oil issue, maybe.
Yeah.
I wanted to say hi to Cindy. Hi, Cindy. She was the first one in on the chat box. She found it.
Okay.
Holly, Cindy.
Howdy.
So what are we going to discuss?
Oil.
Well,
Oil.
Yeah, Bash is going to start out with with his take on the oil situation, which I think is a good way to start things off because it'll get everybody either in a rage or something. That's what you want.
Actually, it started then. I have just put it up, brought it up the page. in July, Stephen was making a post, started a thread, which oil, when does it run out, and what is going to happen, and so we were going on for some time, and actually in the beginning I thought that our oil will never run out. I was thinking it's somehow getting replenished inside the earth through a mechanism which is maybe not so well explained or discovered. This is what I thought actually in the beginning when I started my own research. So I was a little bit of skeptic because I thought that this is a kind of hysteria going on, making the people believe oil runs out and then hiking the prices, bringing some restrictions in there, making profit, steering the heap of arms more or less, and so in the beginning also everything was matching with what I was thinking it is, but then as I went a little bit deeper, I found out that it is actually not that easy, the how to say, the picture which I was painting for myself, and I actually found out that there is a problem coming up, and it is coming up very soon, as it looks like. And the first thing what I did, you have, in principle, you have in crude oil production, you have two big blocks. You have OPEC and you have non-OPEC. And so I was first looking at OPEC and everything. I looked at BP data and so on. And then I found out that actually BP is in cohorts with the oil ministers from OPEC, and there's a kind of, how to say, internal deception going on. And BP was, I think they are supposed to be aware of what was going on, but they played with these people, and what was happening actually was that the OPEC members, they were deceiving themselves, intentionally about the stated reserves which they still have, because they have a kind of quota in which they calculate their own output based on the reserves. I mean, OPEC, for example, has a quota. They come together, they sit together, and then they decide according to market conditions and so on what will be the quota, so that they keep the prices in a favorable way high for themselves. This is actually what was going on for years, for many years. And this is also what actually triggered in the 70s the oil price hike that time, when people said there was rationing going on, there were queues on the petrol station and so on and so on. So that time the oil shock in the 70s went away after the OPEC decided that they will increase their quotas and their export. And so I was thinking we have more or less the same situation today, and I was looking into these, and as I said before, on the first look it looked like that, exactly like that. But then I saw that the official quota of OPEC is much lower than what they are actually pumping right now. They are pumping something like 31 million barrels a day, and the quota is around 25 million barrels per day. So they're exceeding the quota right now. And historically, they were always not complying with that quota for themselves. They were always a kind of loose cannon going around and pumping more than they were supposed to be pumping, but they were roughly in line with that quota. But for the last years, this quota has been more or less unofficially abundant. Nobody is complaining anymore. And for example, there was a small production cut from when in Libya there was the unrest, and the other OPEC members, they were pumping more to offset these things, and they are actually at the limit of the pumping right now, of their capacity. And there was a discussion going on whether they should cut back the production, because Libya has come back online again. And they said, no, we are not doing that one, because the market needs actually the oil. And if we cut down the production, then the price will increase more, and we are not interested in that one. And I was surprised to see that one. So this is just like an intro. I don't want to make it actually a monologue, so I would like if maybe one or two questions are coming also from the other people like Brooke or maybe.
Okay. Do you know if we have any questions in the shout box right now?
Hold on. Let's see. Cindy says, I think we need to find a method of alternative energy and not try to patent it, but just quietly insert it into the population until it catches on. They can only classify it if you apply for a patent, right? How naive is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then somebody else could do it and then like totally block you on it, and then it would be illegal to produce such units.
I was just, if I may, I ran into, on one of these forums not too long ago, a young lady that, I think she's young anyway, that was discussing somewhere in, I believe she's in Britain somewhere, I don't know where, but she was saying that her energy comes from a privately owned energy company, like a mom and pop energy thing. And I'm just, I kind of was looking into that, and I don't know enough about it to really discuss it, but I think that that various venues could produce their own energy, be it solar or however, and provide it to individual sources. I don't see why that would be something that wouldn't be feasible. I don't know what anybody else thinks about that, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. I know that it is being done. I tried to get a hold of this person and find out who the company was so I could talk with them about it, but I think she got a little paranoid. She didn't want me to know where she lived, and unfortunately I didn't get to find out where this company was, but it is a privately owned company, which I thought was interesting, so I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, you actually have a problem because you have main times when there's a huge load on the electric grid. And if you go for wind, solar, and so on, these are all seasonal ones which are not available continuously on demand. You can't say suddenly, okay, today we have a cloudy day and therefore we cut our production line or whatsoever is it there. So that is a main problem in the provision of energy. You always have to have a kind of reservoir of energy ready in case, for example, at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, when people start hot showering, switching on lights and so on. So, and when the factories are coming online, so if you have an array of different types of energy providers, you can pool them, but you still have a high certainty of not being able to provide actually the capacity which is on that time demanded. That is the problem. We have this one in Germany also. In Germany actually the government is trying to bring solar energy and alternative wind energy into the grids, and they are subsidizing even. So some people, they install solar energy panels on the roof, and they're feeding the energy into the main grid, and they're getting paid for it. And this payment is subsidized by government, so that, for example, that after I think 2 years or 3 years, you have a kind of return of your investment back in terms of solar. But these are all energy levels which are minute. I mean, these are kilowatts, or maybe if it comes high, maybe megawatts, but not gigawatts. That is the problem.
Yeah, they do that out here too. You can if you have solar panels, they reimburse you with credits for what you produce over and above. So they do that here too.
Did they charge by the kilowatt hour in Germany?
What they charge or what they will get?
What they charge.
Yeah, it's I think 15 cents or something like this, between 15 and 20 cents
per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing Cindy just brought up. She just asked, does anybody know about producing energy from atmospheric pressure? Now, that's a biggie, and I have a feeling that that's going to be the way of the future. I believe that we can just tap energy right out of the atmosphere. and I think that that's probably one of the biggest secrets out there that they're not discussing with us. And Cindy, thank you for bringing that up.
And that like how they think that that guy that built Coral Castle did it that way, using atmospheric pressures.
Yep. Yep. So as far as what you were saying, Bashy, about having it being seasonal, or if the sun shines, then we can tap into that energy source. But I think there's energy all around us, and we just have to learn how to tap into it in a feasible way that makes it available for everybody.
Yeah, I
Yep.
understand. I understand that actually, free energy and so. But let's bring the discussion on a new level. Let me be the devil's advocate here, okay? Because
Okay.
I know how some people are thinking, and let me provide some background to make a point in my argumentation. For example, when we had more or less free energy, that was 60s, 70s, a barrel of oil cost at that time $3, $10 a barrel, and if you know that with the energy in one barrel of oil, you can get 25,000 hours of man work. With one barrel, 25,000 hours of man work. It means with the energy of one barrel, you can if people are working 8 hours a day, you can 10 people work for 1 year, 7 days a week for you, for 1 barrel of oil. That is the same energy amount. I mean, you burn 1 barrel and you get 10 people working for 1 year for you. This is the same level of consumption, energy consumption. So it means you had in the 60s and 70s, you had more or less free energy, which wasn't, the cost was what is it called, negligible, or you can't.
Negligible. Are you looking for negligible?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Mark, you are the savior here. So, so, so let's look at it. What happened? What happened that time? It was a consuming rage, more or less. People were driving big cars. Everything was becoming big. Plastics, metallics, everything was produced and thrown away after 6 months, and then new comes. So when the energy crisis came, people started thinking. For example, there was the case that Jimmy Carter actually made several announcements to the American public that time and said, we are in a crisis, we are in an emergency, and we are more or less, the people are having us at the hook, and we have to do something. We have to change our dependency on the oil. And Carter was installing solar panels on the White House that time, I think in 1978 or something like this. And everybody said, oh yeah, that's great, that is now a new era is coming, because the pressure was there, and the public has realized they can't go on like this. But as soon as the price went down for the oil, with Ronald Reagan came into the White House, and the first thing he did, he scrapped these solar panels from the White House, and till today there's nothing there. So that shows you clearly that as long as there's no economic pressure to change energy consumption in one way or the other, it will not happen, because everybody will be fine. And the consumption rate will just continue. And if we are running, let's assume now we are not running out of energy. Let's assume we have a free energy available, okay? And let's say we are neglecting all that terrorists can build a huge bomb from it and all the security issues. Let's just concentrate on consumer behavior with this new energy which we will have, which is free, What will happen?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. If ever there's an abundance of anything, people will use it until it's gone. And they'll use it for all sorts of things. It'll be wasteful and it'll be aggressive.
Yeah, let's say it's a free energy which cannot go. Let's say it's so abundant, it's for millions of years, and everybody can tap into it, more or less. So what will happen?
I would say the same thing that happened when we thought we had a large abundance of oil.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Okay.
then we will not have a shortage of energy. But then the next thing will come, because suddenly the production costs of items will greatly be reduced. You will have a lot of plastics somewhere suddenly, because the oil is not burned anymore. So oil becomes very cheap. Plastics is more or less thrown away. And you have thousands of square kilometers. On the other hand, you have thousands of square kilometers of dumps floating in the ocean, plastic dumps. So you will have a pollution problem and consumption problem, and then you will have, maybe you will run out of metals, or will run out of water, or run out of oxygen, or the next commodity will become a shortage.
Well, I think it's an internal problem. I think people got to learn and somehow restrain themselves from overindulging in things and being so aggressive with what they have. If people limited things and didn't become dependent on these external things, there wouldn't be issues, but that's a part of human nature, no matter what the energy source is. And that's what needs to be addressed somehow, and that's something that's not easily addressed, because nobody likes to change.
Yeah, how will you do that?
Yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question. The players will change, but the stage will always be in the same set.
I don't know if everybody knows that they can join in. I just want to mention again, there's a chat box down at the bottom. A few people are in it already, and I just want to address a couple of things that Cindy again added. She said, what do you think about devices that serve only individual households? If you get 10,000 individual households completely off the grid, that can start to spread. And she also stated, with free energy and water, we know we can feed all the people on the planet real food. So, that being said, it goes along kind of with what you were just discussing, the consumerism, and having the overabundance of energy would probably increase consumerism and increase production, plastics. So we kind of have to look at it in a perspective where we still have to respect the consumerism, I guess, if you want to call it, and still go into recycling and start funneling our energy into things that will reproduce. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, but you have an economy which is consumer driven. I mean, the company structures are built on how much more can I sell, what can I do. And now, for example, if you have a product, let's say shrimps, for example, and shrimps are fed with fertilizer or with food, and the food is becoming very cheap because energy is cheap. So the shrimps will become cheap, and then comes antibiotics, and you will spoil the water. But as the shrimps have become cheaper, you in the supermarket you get half a kilo for 99 cents, for example. So everybody will buy shrimps because they say, okay, yes, now it's for the masses. Yeah, but the masses will eat shrimps, and the environment will get spoiled. That is the point. And if it is not here, it will be there in the mangroves.
Well, it becomes a mindless game of supply and demand, really.
Yeah, and that it's the basic structure of our society. We are built to mushroom like a virus. It sounds very negative, but you see, just 2 weeks ago here in Germany, I read one article about the population growth of Norway, and they said, okay, they had a growth of 5.5% last year, and they say, oh, this is a growth rate which other countries can only dream of. And I just shook my head. I said, what will you do with 5.5% each year growth? I mean.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is growth happens very fast, and it can easily become exponential. I mean, if you look at the population, the world population for the past 2,000 years or so, depending on how far and how accurate your graphs are, it's not a constant growth. It's very explosive in the past 200 years. Yeah, and that's the problem right there.
Yeah, this is the exponential growth. And there's this one video which Stephen put up, the most important video which you will ever see, where actually a professor, a scientist, was explaining the meaning of the exponential growth.
Oh, with the bacterium, yeah.
Yeah, for example, with the bottle, when will they realize that they're running out of space?
Yeah, and if some of them do move to another bottle, the same thing will happen if the growth curve is still as it has been, exponential. And the problem is they all need resources and they all need food and shelter and space too.
Yeah.
And that's a real strain because it has to keep up with them exponentially, and it doesn't look like it is very well.
And the point is that the requirements of food and resources is based on an economic principle where consumption is the king. As much more you are consuming, as much more you are supporting the system.
Yeah.
Hey, Steven just chimed in here, Atticus. So you agree that Utopia needs planning for? If so, what name will you give that plan NWO has taken?
Super New World Order.
The Ultra New World Order, friends.
Yes. Can I design the logo too?
It will be the ANWO, the Atticus.
Utopia.
No, Atticus One World Order. Ooh.
One of the things that I've run into a lot with being on several different forums is the concept of utopia and building a utopian society where everything is lovely and perfect and everything is harmonious. And that's definitely something to think about. But you know what? To build that utopia, you have to start somewhere. You have to straighten some things out, and you have to really, it's not just that easy to have. Anything worth having is you have to work. This is something I've always been taught.
I think people are very interested in building this perfect world and all that, but I think what they should do instead is focus on themselves and make sure they're clean before they try to clean the world. And really, I think that's all. Get yourself well, and if everybody's well, then you've got a well world. All the fish in the fish bowl are clean and healthy.
Yeah, the question is what is the definition of what is well. Everybody has his own definition. Some people are
that's the
very
thing.
selfish.
Yeah.
So it starts from the mind first.
It's different. Yeah. It's a mental thing.
Hey, is my somebody said my mic is low. Is it still low?
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
My speakers.
So, but how will you start this one? If you have already a mindset where you have people who are as much more they can grab, as much more they respect in this society, So if you have this structure already established, how you will go back from there? How you will change it?
Well, that again is $1 million question. How do you go from point A to point B if nobody wants to? And
because now
what's the point of trying?
You see, we have, for example, the democratic structure. It means the majority of the people more or less, that is the theory, are deciding what is going to happen. So, for example, if somebody says, now look, you can't drive your car more than a speed of, let's say, 80 miles per hour, and you can't have a big car as you want to have, you take a small one. And that is one contestant for a presidential job. And the other one said, no problem, we have free energy, you can have big cars even bigger than before because we have unlimited resources now as we have solved the energy problem. And that person will be elected, and you will have millions of scrap cars produced every year, which land somewhere on the dump.
Along with all this talk of consumerism, we got to talk about waste. And somebody, Gypsy, just brought up, she said, because the companies use all the waste it produces to make products they are manufacturing to produce energy for the factories, e.g. a factory making sneakers from natural rubber. And when we talk about consumerism and expanding and growth, we a lot of times we don't think about the waste, and that's a big part of consumerism is the waste. So I thought I'd bring that up too. We need to stop being so wasteful.
Well, yeah, waste is the opposite side of consumption in all levels, so that's definitely an issue.
Well, look at that floating island they have out in the ocean with all those bottles, all those plastic bottles.
You mean the Pacific Garbage Patch?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just waste. It's sitting there. Is anybody doing anything about it? Are they taking all those bottles out and recycling them? I would think so. Is anybody aware of what's going on with that?
Yeah, maybe
I think they want it to be an island.
Well,
they're trying to make more land.
It's an island of waste. What it is, it needs to, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, but it's fine. You see, what they'll do is